In a small, sunny town filled with blooming flowers and chirping birds, there lived a grandmother named Agnes. Agnes was a charming woman with silvery hair that shone like moonlight when the sun hit it just right. She was warm and inviting, always quick to share a laugh or a sweet story with anyone who came to visit. Her gentle smile could brighten even the gloomiest of days, and her heart was as big as her love for her garden. Agnes had cultivated her garden for years, nurturing it with love and patience. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. It wasn't just a patch of land to her. It was a magical sanctuary, a place where both flowers and dreams thrived. Rows of vibrant blossoms stood proudly, from cheerful daisies to velvety red roses that danced with the wind. The bright colors and sweet fragrances wrapped around her like a comforting blanket each morning when the sunlight spilled over the horizon. Every day, whether rain or shine, Agnes tended to her garden. She would wake early, brewing a cup of chamomile tea before stepping outside, wearing her favorite floppy hat adorned with embroidered daisies. As she walked among her plants, her hands sifted through the rich soil, feeling the life beneath her fingertips. The simple rhythm of planting seeds, watering the stems, and weeding out the rogue dandelions brought her immense peace. Gardening was not merely a hobby, it was Agnes's escape. Whenever life felt overwhelming, she sought solace in her garden. The world melted away as she watched busy bees float from flower to flower and listened to the melodies of birds singing their morning songs. In this green retreat, time seemed to stand still. She would often imagine that by nurturing each plant, she was connecting with something greater than herself, perhaps even with the spirits of those who once walked the earth. One particular afternoon, as the warm sun kissed her skin, Agnes knelt beside her beloved rose bushes. She loved how their petals glistened with morning dew, creating a delicate sparkle that made them look like jewels basking in the sun's glow. Lost in thought about her plans for the annual flower fair in town, she pruned some wayward branches when she noticed something unusual beneath the rich earth. Curiosity piqued. Agnes reached down into the soft soil and unearthed an old, weathered object. To her surprise, it was a journal covered in dirt and leaves. The leather cover was cracked, but held an intriguing charm. Something about it felt special, almost alive with untold stories waiting to be discovered. Agnes felt a rush of excitement course through her. She wondered who had left it behind and what secrets it held. With tender care, she brushed off the dirt, revealing the faded title embossed on the front. The letters were hard to make out, but they seemed to whisper a distant tale from another time. Eagerly, she opened the fragile pages, each one filled with handwritten notes that looked like flowing rivers of ink full of emotions. As she began to read the first lines, something stirred within her. A connection to the writer who poured their heart onto those pages. Agnes could sense that this journal had belonged to someone who had faced trials and tribulations much like herself, and yet also experienced moments of beauty and wonder that made life worth living. Lost in the words of another life, she forgot about the chores waiting for her inside the house. The busyness of daily life faded away as she immersed herself in this unknown world crafted by a stranger's hand. With each sentence she read, she felt as if a bridge connected her past to some lost future, a future that was yet undiscovered. Time slipped away, like the petals from a wilting flower, unnoticed until the sky began to shade into deeper hues of orange and pink. Sitting there among her treasured plants and flowers, Agnes realized that this journal could hold deeper meanings beyond its pages. It might be linked to history, and even to her own existence. The excitement swelled within her chest as she wondered what adventure awaited as she continued reading. Little did she know how profoundly this discovery would change everything. Not only for her, but for the story yet to unfold. The words written in the journal beckoned her closer, urging her to step into a narrative where echoes of the past reverberated into the present and beyond. As dusk settled softly over her garden, Agnes felt a spark of hope igniting inside. A hope that perhaps through this journal, she could touch lives and connect with worlds that had long since disappeared into memory. And so began her journey into the heart of a mystery, ignited by simple yet profound love. Love for gardening and love for stories that remind us we are never truly alone. Before Agnes discovered the journal, the afternoon sun bathed her garden in a warm, golden light. A gentle breeze carried the sweet fragrance of blooming flowers through the air, mixing with the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves. Agnes loved these moments, where nature seemed to whisper secrets just for her. Today, her hands moved rhythmically among the rose bushes, which had begun to blossom brilliantly, revealing their vibrant reds and soft pinks. With her trusty gardening gloves on, Agnes knelt beside her favorite rose bush, carefully pruning a few errant branches that had grown too wild. As she snipped away at the foliage, she hummed a cheerful tune that floated into the air like a butterfly. Her heart felt light as she tended each flower, imagining how delightful they would look at the upcoming flower fair. As she worked, something unusual caught her eye. A glimmer of brown peeking out from the rich soil beneath her beloved roses made her pause and tilt her head sideways in curiosity. She brushed her hands on her apron and leaned closer to inspect what it could be. The gentle sunlight illuminated a rough leather cover half buried in the earth, and a rush of excitement swelled within her. Now what could this be? She mused to herself with a sparkle in her eye. Carefully, she reached down to grasp it and pulled it from its earthy resting place. The weight of it felt strange, yet familiar in her hands, as if it belonged to another world entirely. Agnes brushed off dirt and tiny roots that clung to the journal's surface like stubborn memories refusing to fade away. The leather was cracked and weathered, giving it an air of mystery that piqued her interest even more. She noticed a faint title embossed on the front that was nearly impossible to read, but sparked her imagination with endless possibilities. What secrets might you hold? She whispered softly as she turned it over in her hands. She could have easily left it there, buried beneath the roses where perhaps an unsuspecting gardener would find it years from now. But something deep within compelled her to open this curious treasure right then and there. With trembling fingers, Agnes carefully unfastened the cover of the journal, feeling its rough texture against her skin, as if each page was alive with stories waiting to leap into existence. As she opened it for the first time, an earthy scent filled the air, one that reminded her of damp soil after rainfall, mixed with hints of old paper from forgotten tales. The pages were filled with handwritten notes that flowed across each line like streams meandering through a forest. Some words were bold and clear, while others faded over time, but still held strength in their ink-stained essence. It was almost as if they begged for attention from anyone willing to listen. Agnes took a deep breath before reading aloud some of the words written on the fragile pages. In dark times, I found light, when hope seemed lost. Each phrase sent a shiver down her spine as emotions wrapped around her heart tightly but tenderly. Suddenly aware of how deeply engrossed she had become, Agnes shook off any distractions and focused solely on this newly discovered treasure before her. She settled herself comfortably against the cool earth next to the rose bushes, while cradling the journal in her lap like an old friend reunited after years apart. The sun continued its descent toward evening, while Agnes became fully absorbed in this unexpected journey, the kind that only books can offer when they transport readers far beyond their physical surroundings into worlds crafted by imagination and experience. Time slipped away unnoticed as she turned each page delicately. Words leapt up around her every time she read an entry about love lost or dreams pursued against all odds. It was mesmerizing. Not only did these reflections speak from decades past, but somehow resonated with experiences close to Agnes's own heart. Lost in those inked lines with every word painting, vivid imagery in mind's eye sparked curiosity about who this writer really was and what events led them to compose such heartfelt sentiments so long ago. It fascinated Agnes further when thoughts flitted through about how someone might have touched another person's life miles away across time, bound by nothing more than ink on paper, yet carries meaning still today. She could hardly believe that something so magical existed right beneath those beautiful roses all along. For years caring for something unaware of another story hidden underneath, it felt like destiny smiled upon her invitingly, an adventure waiting quietly in plain sight until now, prompting questions yet answered. As golden rays began shifting into twilight hues atop Agnes's garden sanctuary, the whispers of long-lost thoughts beckoned softly. And though uncertain about what path awaited, it filled every fiber within with warmth glowing brightly amid darker skies possible ahead, because one simple flicker started weaving together. New beginnings amidst lives intertwined below, blossoms blooming far beyond. Agnes sat on the soft earth, her fingers tracing the contours of the journal she had just unearthed. The weight of it felt both foreign and familiar, like a long-lost companion waiting for her to discover its secrets. She couldn't shake off the thrill of finding something so mysterious, buried in her beloved garden, a place she thought she knew so well. Intrigue washed over her as she wondered about the tale behind its hidden presence and what stories lay tucked within each delicate page. The cover was aged and weathered, its once vibrant color now a muted brown that whispered hints of a vibrant past. It looked like it had been through many seasons, a perfect match for her garden, which itself thrived in cycles of growth and decay. As Agnes examined the journal, something drew her in, the feeling that it held fragments of someone's life inside, pieces they had entrusted to this book. "What could you tell me if you could speak?" she whispered, leaning closer as though hoping to catch a hint from its silent exterior. The allure of the faded title embossed on the front intrigued her even more. Each letter was indiscernible, yet seemed to murmur softly, begging for attention, as if revealing a secret language only connectable by kindred spirits among strangers. She felt an irresistible temptation to open it. Yet there was a flicker of hesitation too. A part of her understood that opening those pages would not only uncover the writer's secrets, but might also stir emotions she had locked away throughout her years. What if these tales resonated too closely with her own experiences? Would she find memories she'd long forgotten, or dreams unwritten waiting to take flight? The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting an orange hue across her garden. Agnes took a deep breath, summoning courage as she carefully unfastened the cover with trembling fingers. The gentle snap echoed like a secretive invitation, echoing soft murmurs into the still air around her. As it opened, a musty scent filled her nostrils, often likened to rain-soaked soil and pages long untouched by time. Each smell was comforting, It held gravitas to a world beyond this ordinary afternoon, with its gentle rhythm of nature surrounding them both. The experience felt almost sacred, like entering another realm where past and present collided. Inside, the pages were filled with scrawls, some clear and bold while others appeared lighter, faded memories yearning for recognition. There was an artistry within those handwritten letters that captured Agnes's attention, compellingly drawing her deeper into someone else's life, intertwined with her existence. With eagerness tinged by caution, she began reading lines scattered throughout. When shadows fell over my heart. Each phrase throbbed with emotion and solitude, an echo from long ago that felt terrifyingly relatable, yet beautifully distinct from any struggles of her own life. The sentiments expressed resonated so deeply with Agnes that her heart fluttered in response. This was more than mere words on fragile parchment. It spoke intimately of human nature itself. Agnes's mind raced through countless thoughts as questions surged around them like restless wind currents. Who had poured their soul onto these pages? What trials led them to feel this way? The writer's themes of love, lost, and hope rekindled ignited curiosity inside her being, unlike anything she had experienced before. Memories cascaded gently through the lens of time, hers blending seamlessly with those captured within ink stains on paper. Kindling empathy toward an unknown writer, yearning for connection just like any other seeker lost amongst myriad moments life bestowed upon them both. She could hardly believe this elegant connection materialized within minutes. Rooted generations apart, yet essential still. As dusk approached outside, painting enchanting colors, shrouding various hues across her garden paradise, Agnes realized each moment spent, absorbed in those pages, drew connections richer than any surface encounter, binding them together amid longing hearts, immersed with fierce desire for authenticity, and love, endlessly intertwined among lives, meant never forgotten. A thrill coursed through Agnes. Perhaps destiny played its role in bringing forth this journal, no matter the passing days. Or centuries behind each written word, sheltered safely beneath blossoms flourishing above. She knew vulnerabilities shared resonated between every penned sentence, while unraveling threads spanning distance which would unite lives previously unknown. Right here where petals blossomed softly toward skies painted gold, her heart swelled as possibilities unfurled before her eyes. The writer's essence lingered between those fragile lines, woven delicately through unseen art, shining like sparkles there, open into realms beyond vivid gardens. Even age, worn comfortably into memory's path, seemed nothing but texture born from freshness met today. Finally, cradling motivations merged, delightfully stirred awakenings rooted deep within new beginnings. This journal promised adventures waiting just beyond, refracted illusions, springing forth toward rich stories ever present, radially spinning anew. Oh, how enticing moments merged gently into far-reaching expanses, beckoning curious souls, inviting explorations, hiding sweet promises, paved softly beneath light-hearted foliage, beckoning forth wisdom already piloted throughout animated souls, shared warm tides, rising ever closer against barriers once invisible. As Agnes turned the fragile pages of the journal, she became increasingly engrossed in the life story of the writer. A young woman named Clara, who lived over a century ago. The entries were filled with vivid details that transported Agnes to another time and place, a world that felt both distant and strangely familiar. Clara's story began in a bustling industrial town, where the clatter of machinery and the hustle of everyday life dictated the rhythm of existence. She described the smoky skies and crowded streets, where horse-drawn carriages navigated through throngs of people, all focused on their own struggles and triumphs. It was an era marked by change, where dreams clashed with harsh realities. Yet Clara managed to find her spark amid the turmoil. From her words, Agnes could sense Clara's spirited nature shining through. She was a dreamer with a heart full of aspirations, someone who longed to break free from societal expectations. Clara wrote passionately about her desire to become a writer, to capture the beauty and complexity of life through her pen. She painted pictures with her words, detailing adventures that unfolded in her small neighborhood and beyond. One particular entry captured Agnes's imagination. Clara spoke of a secret garden hidden away from the noise of the town, a place where she would escape to draw inspiration and dream without boundaries. This garden was unlike any other, filled with exotic flowers she had read about in books but had never seen in person. Clara described vivid colors that danced under the sunlight and fragrances that wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. For Agnes, reading about this secret garden felt like peering into her own soul. It mirrored the sanctuary she had created for herself over the years. But Clara's life took a darker turn as she penned about growing tensions in her community. The echoes of protests and cries for change filled her pages as she bravely documented life during difficult times, social upheaval, labor strikes, and a world on the brink of transformation. Agnes felt a deep admiration for Clara's courage to write about these extraordinary events that shaped not just her life, but also countless others around her. It was as if Clara had taken it upon herself to bear witness to history, using her words to illuminate truths often left in shadow. Clara wrote about friendships forged in the fires of adversity, how she stood shoulder to shoulder with fellow dreamers and activists who sought justice and hope amidst chaos. She captured moments of laughter shared over cups of tea in their tiny homes, each conversation laden with dreams and fears alike. A reminder of the power of connection even when faced with insurmountable odds. Yet, there were also entries filled with heartache. Clara experienced loss, a friend taken too soon by illness, dreams dashed against the rocks of reality. Agnes felt a pang in her chest as she read Clara's words about mourning someone so dear. Emotions spilling onto the pages, like ink blots forming beautiful yet painful shapes. In one poignant passage, Clara reflected on how writing became both an anchor and a source of solace during turbulent times. "In my words," she wrote, "I find refuge and strength. They are my wings when I feel too heavy to fly." This sentiment resonated deeply with Agnes, who understood all too well how writing could serve as an outlet for emotions that often remained unspoken. The entries revealed not only remarkable events, but also intimate thoughts, musings on love and longing that echoed through time. Clara wrote about her first crush on a charming young man who frequented the same cafe where she would pen her stories. Through Clara's shy words, Agnes could almost see their laughter mingling, hear whispered secrets exchanged under stained glass windows as sunlight poured through them. A moment suspended in time, yet there was an air of melancholy threaded throughout Clara's tale. She grappled with societal norms that limited what women could achieve. With fierce determination, she vowed not to be silenced or confined by expectations, a sentiment that inspired Agnes beyond measure. As Agnes continued reading, she became more enthralled by this remarkable woman whose spirit seemed alive within every line. Though centuries separated them, Clara's thoughts bridged that gap. They spoke not just to Agnes's heart, but also to her very essence. Agnes realized this journal held more than just stories. It contained echoes of resilience and hope that transcended time itself. Within these pages lay an extraordinary adventure waiting to be unearthed again. A reminder that voices can endure even when circumstances try their hardest to silence them. Inspired by Clara's journey, the trials faced alongside dreams pursued, Agnes felt compelled to honor this writer's legacy as it intertwined with her own life amidst blossoming flowers, thriving together beneath starlit skies overhead. As twilight descended upon her garden sanctuary, Agnes knew that discovering this journal had changed everything. It ignited within her a profound sense of purpose and connection across generations bound together by shared dreams. As Agnes delved deeper into Clara's journal, she stumbled upon an entry that sent a shiver down her spine. It was dated in the early 1900s, during a time of significant change and upheaval. Clara's writings took on a more urgent tone, expressing her thoughts on the world around her. But something about this particular entry felt different. Clara mentioned a pivotal event, a tragic accident that had occurred in her town, one that had taken many lives and changed the course of history for countless families. With each word Agnes read, the feeling of dread intensified. Clara wrote about how she had come to know several victims personally. They were friends and mentors who had inspired her dreams of writing. In vivid detail, she described attending a memorial service that was filled with sorrow as the community mourned together. But it wasn't just the loss that haunted Clara. It was an underlying fear that loomed larger. Rumors circulated about how some of these tragedies were not mere accidents at all. Who could wish such pain upon us? Clara wrote with trembling ink, as if every stroke carried her fear for what lay ahead. There are whispers in the shadows, dark forces at play that wish to silence our voices. Agnes felt a chill creep up her spine as she absorbed those words. They echoed far beyond their time, resonating with modern worries about censorship and societal pressures. Clara's fears took on a sharper focus as she shared plans for a piece she intended to write. A story shedding light on the events unfurling around her. "But I must be careful," she penned cautiously. "For those who speak out have been known to vanish without a trace." This struck Agnes profoundly. It was a relatable sentiment echoing through history and still relevant today. The journal continued to unfold layers of Clara's life intertwined with broader societal issues, revealing heartbreaking truths about gender roles and the struggles women faced during her era. Each page contained reflections on how women were often dismissed, silenced, or worse, erased from existence entirely if they stood against powerful forces wielding control over their lives. As Agnes read further, she stumbled upon another disconcerting note dated just weeks before Clara's final entry. "Today, I met someone who told me things I cannot unhear," Clara wrote, tinged with urgency. "I know I should stay silent, but my heart burns with the truth. If something happens to me, please do not let my story die." Those words struck Agnes like lightning. A series of chilling thoughts raced through her mind. If Clara died before sharing her story, what did that mean for her existence now? She realized with dawning horror that this vibrant young writer should not have lived past that time period. She should not exist today at all. Agnes's hands trembled as she flipped through the remaining pages, frantically searching for any hint of what might have happened next. Did Clara manage to share her write-up? Did she find safety or succumb to the malevolent forces lurking nearby? The entries grew erratic toward the end. Clara's passionate resolve turned into frantic expressions of desperation as uncertainty crept into her words. Then came a final entry, hastily written as if penned during a moment of peril. "I can sense danger closing in. If you find this journal, promise me you will tell my story." The weight of those words crashed upon Agnes. She understood the gravity of Clara's plea to pass down her legacy to future generations. Sorrow mixed with awe flooded Agnes's heart. Here was this young woman speaking across time itself, imploring someone to keep hope alive even when darkness threatened to snuff it out. The twist snapped into focus as realization dawned upon Agnes. Clara's journal served as both an anchor and a window through which truths long buried could be unearthed anew. What might have been seen solely as an excavation of memories now felt like an urgent call to action, a responsibility placed squarely on her shoulders by fate. Agnes understood there was so much more entwined within this tale than just history. It was about resilience against the odds. The journal demanded recognition for voices silenced too soon, reminding everyone how stories hold power. They can inspire change even when circumstances try their hardest to suppress them. Tears welled in Agnes's eyes as rays of sunlight streaked across her garden sanctuary. Each petal seemed to vibrate with newfound life. She recognized now that not only had she unearthed memories from another lifetime, but also made room for fresh pursuits ready to blossom anew amid potential pathways rising from warmth nurtured by generations past. Heart racing at this revelation, Agnes vowed silently under feathered clouds above. She would honor Clara's wishes. The pages would no longer languish beneath flowers forgotten. They would set forth on new adventures together, their voices intertwined forevermore against darkened skies, seeking dreams yet undefined. As Agnes continued to immerse herself in Clara's journal, she began to draw connections between their lives that transcended time and space. Despite the decades separating them, Clara's struggles and dreams resonated deeply within Agnes, illuminating experiences she had faced in her own life. Every word Clara penned seemed to speak directly to her heart, bridging the gap between past and present in a way that felt almost magical. Clara's fervent desire to be heard echoed Agnes's own longings from her youth. As a girl, she had often dreamed of writing stories that captured the essence of life, the beauty, the pain, and everything in between. But like Clara, she was stifled by societal expectations. The belief that women should prioritize family and domestic duties over personal ambitions seeped into her upbringing. Reading Clara's entries about her struggles against these very norms struck a chord with Agnes, reigniting a flame of determination that had dimmed over years of conformity. One entry particularly moved her. Clara wrote about attending a gathering where women shared their stories in defiance of the limits imposed on them. "If we do not speak out," Clara declared boldly, "who will tell our tales? We are more than what others see. We are alive with dreams waiting for wings." Those words hit Agnes like an awakening. She recalled moments when she had gathered with friends for tea, sharing laughter and dreams, yet always tugging back the conversation to safer topics. Clara's courageous stand reminded her of those lost opportunities where they could have dared to dream together without fear. Agnes found herself reflecting on her own journey, filled with unfulfilled aspirations and moments of doubt. She had often hesitated to voice her thoughts or pursue passions outside her familial obligations. Yet here was Clara, an unknown woman from over a century ago, reminding her that each voice carries power and each story deserves to be told. It was as if Clara were reaching across time, encouraging Agnes to embrace the writer within her that had been silenced for too long. As she read about Clara's romantic experiences, tender crushes, and heartbreaking losses, Agnes remembered her own youthful love stories. While the details differed, the feelings were strikingly similar. The exhilarating rush of first love and the piercing pain of heartbreak. Clara poured her heart into her journal, revealing a vulnerable side that connected them both as women navigating the complex waters of love and longing. Agnes chuckled softly at some of Clara's playful observations about life's absurdities. How laughter could seem like an act of rebellion in tough times. How joy bloomed alongside sorrow like wildflowers pushing through cracks in pavement. It dawned on her then, these reflections weren't simply relics of a bygone era. They were universal truths speaking to shared human experience. The heart knows no boundaries of time. It feels deeply regardless of when or where it exists. But beyond personal connections lay deeper societal truths woven through Clara's words. The struggles depicted in the journal mirrored issues Agnes observed around her today. Women still fighting for equality, voices still striving to be heard against overpowering forces of silence and oppression. Clara's bravery fueled Agnes's resolve to take a stand against such injustices in her own community, to advocate for those who might not have the platform to share their stories. At that moment, sitting amid vibrant blooms in her garden, surrounded by nature's beauty, Agnes made a silent promise to honor Clara's legacy by sharing her own stories and those of other women whose voices deserved recognition. The journal had ignited in her an urgency to write not just for herself, but also for others who felt marginalized or unheard. Agnes envisioned organizing gatherings where women could come together, just as Clara had described, sharing their dreams aloud without fear or judgment. They would create a safe space for vulnerability and creativity, where each story told glimmered like jewels waiting to be cherished. What began as an exploration into another woman's life transformed into a calling for unity among women from all walks of life. A beautiful intertwining of past struggles birthing new hope for the future. The setting sun cast golden light over Agnes's garden as she closed the journal with determination, solidifying deep within her spirit. She understood now that her connection with Clara was far more than mere curiosity. It represented a shared journey across time, struggles echoing through history meant to inspire action and resilience. With newfound purpose swelling in her heart, Agnes felt ready to emerge as a storyteller, one who would carry the torch lit by Clara's fiery passion. A reminder that every narrative matters and possesses the power to change lives. As twilight enveloped her garden sanctuary, she embraced this mission with unwavering conviction. Together, they would weave tales into existence, timeless bonds connecting lives across generations. As Agnes continued to immerse herself in Clara's journal, profound lessons began to rise to the surface. Lessons about hope, perseverance, and the power of creativity. Each entry Clara penned resonated with themes that felt timeless and significant, speaking directly to Agnes's heart and mind as she reflected on her own life experiences. The first lesson that struck Agnes was the enduring power of hope. Clara's words illuminated how vital it is to keep hope alive, even in the face of adversity. Despite the turmoil in her life, social upheaval, personal losses, and societal constraints, Clara consistently chose to believe in a better future. Her declaration that, "Without hope, we cannot dream," resonated deeply with Agnes, who had sometimes felt her own dreams fade under the weight of responsibilities and expectations. Agnes recalled her own moments of despair when she had doubted whether she could contribute meaningful stories or even share her voice. Clara's unyielding spirit reminded her that hope is not passive. It is an active choice that must be nurtured and defended against despair. Clara wrote beautifully about the dawn following the darkest nights, the way light breaks through clouds and offers warmth after long stretches of cold. This imagery inspired Agnes to view her challenges through a lens of possibility rather than limitation. Perseverance emerged as another theme woven throughout Clara's experiences. Anytime Clara faced setbacks, whether it was losing a friend or grappling with societal oppression, she pushed forward rather than retreating into silence. To create is to resist, Clara had written, emphasizing that creativity itself can be a form of defiance against forces that seek to stifle individuality. Agnes admired this fierce determination, It echoed her own journeys through life, where sticking with something often required courage and resilience. There were days she would feel overwhelmed by fear of failure. But reading about Clara's relentless pursuit of her writing dreams fueled a long-buried fire within her. The journal served as a reminder that even small acts of bravery can lead to monumental changes, not just for oneself, but for others who might be inspired by one's story. Finally, the element of creativity illuminated in Clara's writing struck a captivating chord within Agnes. Clara viewed creativity as an essential part of life, the very lifeblood that allowed her to process emotions and share experiences. She wrote passionately about how she turned her pain into poetry and her joy into vibrant stories. Each time she put pen to paper, she set herself free from societal chains while also igniting sparks in others who read her words. Agnes reflected on her own relationship with creativity, the times she had let it slip away when busy with household responsibilities or discouraged by self-doubt. Yet here was Clara reminding her that creativity didn't have to be perfect or grand. It could spring from a simple act of expressing one's thoughts or feelings. The magic lay in simply allowing ideas to flow freely without judgment. Inspired by Clara's journey filled with lessons learned through struggles and triumphs, Agnes felt compelled to embrace her creativity once more. She envisioned herself gathering ideas formed from cherished memories, moments of laughter shared with friends over tea, or reflections generated from nature's beauty surrounding her garden. It was time to nurture this forgotten garden within her, a garden where stories could blossom freely without constraint or fear. As twilight descended upon her garden sanctuary, Agnes pondered ways to share these lessons, not only for herself, but also to encourage others seeking hope and creative expression like Clara did. She imagined hosting workshops where women could explore their artistic sides without barriers, writing poems or telling stories that resonated with their hearts. They could create collages from memories or paint scenes inspired by dreams yet unexplored. The idea filled Agnes with excitement. She envisioned a vibrant tapestry woven together from many voices celebrating both individual journeys and collective strength. Within those gatherings would thrive an atmosphere rich with encouragement, a space where women could find liberation in sharing their narratives openly. By taking these lessons from Clara's journal and embedding them within her community, Agnes felt confident they would kindle new flames of courage in others as well. A resurgence in hope rising like the sun each morning. Stories written across pages not only existed individually, they entwined together as part of an expansive legacy meant to uplift generations ahead. In closing the journal one last time, Agnes acknowledged its power as more than just pages filled with ink. It had transformed into an anchor, guiding her through new beginnings where hope takes root amidst tendrils stretching toward brighter horizons. Awash in gratitude for this connection cultivated across time, she vowed never to let those lessons fade, but instead let them flourish abundantly, like flowers blooming anew every spring. As Agnes continued to reflect on the lessons learned from Clara's journal, she began to see her garden in a new light, a vibrant bridge connecting the past and present. Each flower, leaf, and winding vine seemed to whisper stories of resilience and hope that transcended time. Gardening had always been a source of solace for Agnes, but now it felt like an active link to Clara's world, allowing her to immerse herself in the spirit of the young woman whose dreams had once flourished alongside her own. Every morning, as the sun rose and painted her garden in shades of gold, Agnes felt a sense of communion with Clara. She imagined Clara tending to her secret garden, those exotic flowers blooming amidst bustling streets and clattering carriages. The thought ignited a warmth within Agnes. It was as if Clara's hands brushed against the petals of her roses, guiding them to bloom beautifully, just as they did in Clara's time. There was something profoundly poetic about how nature intertwined their lives through this shared love for gardening. In the stillness of her garden sanctuary, Agnes often found herself lost in thought, pondering the parallels between their lives. Both women sought refuge from societal constraints by cultivating spaces where creativity could thrive. For Clara, it was an escape from the burdens of her era. For Agnes, it was a gentle reminder that dreams could still take root despite life's challenges. The act of nurturing flowers became an expression of hope, a promise that beauty could emerge even from hardship. One afternoon, while kneeling beside her beloved peonies, Agnes found herself reflecting on a line from Clara's journal. "In every seed lies potential." Inspired, she began to consider how each seed planted in her garden mirrored dreams waiting to blossom into reality. Just as Clara nurtured her dreams through words, so too had Agnes nurtured hers through the flowers around her. She realized that both women were driven by the same desire: to cultivate beauty and share stories that echoed across time. As she tended to each plant, watering them with care or gently pruning away dead leaves, Agnes felt connected not only to Clara's spirit, but also to countless women who had come before them. With every snip and sprinkle, she honored those who fought for their voices and dreams amidst adversity. The rhythmic motions became a meditation, fueling her determination to keep sharing their stories while creating safe spaces for others seeking connection. The garden transformed into more than just an outdoor space. It became a living testament to their intertwined journeys. A sanctuary where past struggles could be acknowledged and celebrated alongside present triumphs. Agnes envisioned inviting other women into this sacred space, not only to share their experiences, but also to plant seeds of their own stories among colorful blooms. Together, they would tend these stories as lovingly as she tended her flowers, nurturing them with encouragement until they blossomed into something beautiful. Agnes imagined gatherings filled with laughter and camaraderie, as women exchanged tales under shady trees or shared quiet moments surrounded by fragrant blossoms. They would create art inspired by their experiences, painting petals or crafting poems that captured emotions flowing like water over smooth stones in a stream. It was exhilarating to think about how this garden could serve as a bridge not only between herself and Clara, but also among generations of women yearning for connection. With every visit to her garden, Agnes began crafting plans for workshops where creativity would take center stage. Each session designed not just around writing, but around exploration itself. Would-be writers could gather together like petals forming a flower head, sharing ideas in an atmosphere rich with support while celebrating one another's unique voices. The sun cast long shadows across the lawn as she tended roots deep within rich soil beneath lush foliage, all reminiscent reminders that growth often requires nurturing patience. Here in this fertile ground lay opportunities for transformation, both hers and those shared by others who dared step forward seeking joy amid vulnerability. As twilight descended upon the horizon, painting everything bathed in hues of purple and blue, Agnes felt hope blooming brighter than ever before. The journal had unlocked doors long forgotten within her heart. The act of gardening, now fused with storytelling, sparked something magical, forging connections between those who lived before and those readying themselves for new chapters ahead. Agnes knew now that gardening held power. It transcended mere cultivation. It unrolled pathways leading toward futures brightened by shared narratives filled with warmth. She vowed to honor Clara's legacy through these gatherings, to keep weaving tales together among blossoming lives, celebrating every moment cherished under starlit skies above. Thus began an era where flowers bloomed beside voices intertwining across generations. their stories growing stronger together, like vines entwined around sturdy trellises, reaching high towards possibility. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over her garden, Agnes felt a sense of purpose welling up within her. She had spent countless hours contemplating Clara's journal and the profound connections they shared. Connections that were now rooted deeply in her heart. It was time to honor Clara's memory in a way that felt fitting. A way that would allow Clara's spirit to continue to thrive alongside her own. Agnes envisioned her garden not just as a sanctuary for herself, but as a living tribute to Clara and the stories of women like them. With renewed determination, she decided that each flower she tended would serve as a reminder of Clara's dreams, struggles, and the strength it took to keep hope alive amidst adversity. As she pruned the roses with care, she imagined Clara's hands guiding hers, working together to cultivate beauty and nurture dreams. In the days that followed, Agnes set about transforming her garden into a more inviting space for others. She cleared pathways and added comfortable seating beneath the shade of her favorite oak tree, creating a perfect spot for gatherings. She planted new flowers, choosing vibrant colors that mirrored the emotions reflected in Clara's journal. Each bloom a symbol of resilience, creativity, and the power of storytelling. The transformation became a manifestation of her promise to honor Clara's legacy. But Agnes knew that simply caring for her garden wasn't enough. She also wanted to share Clara's story with her family. She believed that by sharing the journal with her loved ones, she could pass down Clara's wisdom and inspire them to embrace their own voices. It was essential for Agnes to connect her family to this remarkable woman whose life had influenced her so profoundly. One sunny afternoon, Agnes gathered her children and grandchildren under the oak tree she had transformed into their gathering place. She held Clara's journal in her hands, feeling its weight not just as a physical object, but as a vessel carrying memories and dreams from another time. She could hardly contain her excitement as she explained how she had found it hidden beneath the roots of her beloved rose bushes, and how it had opened up new worlds for her. "Let me tell you about Clara," Agnes began, her voice warm and inviting. "She was a brave woman who lived long ago, a woman with dreams much like ours." As she recounted Clara's journey, weaving through the challenges she faced and the hope she clung to, Agnes could see her family's eyes widen with interest. They leaned closer, captivated by the story unfolding before them. Agnes read passages from the journal aloud, allowing the words to resonate among them like music. She emphasized Clara's thoughts on the importance of sharing one's story and finding strength in vulnerability. With every sentence spoken, Agnes invited her family to embrace their own narratives, their joys, heartaches, and aspirations. By sharing Clara's journey with her loved ones, Agnes created a bridge that connected them not only to Clara, but also to each other. Conversations began to blossom surrounding their own experiences, the dreams they had cherished, but perhaps had been too afraid to voice. It sparked an eagerness in them to share their stories while nurturing an understanding of the strength in vulnerability. After reading from the journal, Agnes encouraged them to find inspiration in their surroundings. Just like Clara used gardening as an escape and a form of expression, she said softly, "We can find our own outlets for creativity right here." The children offered ideas. Some suggested painting, while others wanted to write poems about their favorite flowers. Laughter filled the air as they brainstormed ways they could express themselves in this magical garden. In the days that followed, Agnes watched proudly as her family blossomed creatively. They painted colorful pots adorned with images of flowers drawn from their imaginations and wrote heartfelt poems capturing memories spent together in the garden. This creative wave reaffirmed Agnes's belief that connecting with one another through storytelling and art creates bonds that transcend time. As twilight settled over the garden once more, Agnes felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The transformation of both her garden and her family brought Clara's legacy to life in unexpected ways, reminding them all of the power of sharing stories and nurturing creativity within themselves. Through caring for her garden and sharing Clara's journal with her family, Agnes realized that honoring Clara's memory was about more than just preserving history. It was about keeping hope alive for generations to come. It became clear that every flower tended had a purpose. Each story shared contributed to a growing tapestry woven together by love and resilience. With Clara's spirit interwoven through their lives now, Agnes vowed never to let those lessons fade. Her garden would flourish along with voices echoing stories meant to inspire future generations. As Agnes stood in her transformed garden, surrounded by vibrant blooms and the laughter of her family, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The journal had not only unlocked Clara's story, but also illuminated the profound truth about the power of stories to transcend time. Reflecting on her journey, she realized that every shared experience woven together creates a rich tapestry connecting generations, not just through personal histories, but through collective dreams and aspirations. Clara's voice echoed through Agnes's heart, reminding her that stories have the ability to bridge the gap between past struggles and present realities. In sharing Clara's experiences, Agnes was not merely passing down a tale. She was seeding hope for future generations. She envisioned children and grandchildren gathering around her in this very garden, sharing their own stories and discovering their passions, as Clara had encouraged them to do. Agnes understood that preserving the narratives of those who came before them was vital. Each story held lessons learned from hardship, wisdom born of experience, and moments of joy that could inspire others long after the writers were gone. She felt like a guardian of these narratives, an important caretaker who could ensure that Clara's spirit would never be forgotten. Nor would the voices of countless other women throughout history whose stories deserved to be told. With each flower she planted and each gathering held in her garden, Agnes became more determined to honor those legacies. It was essential for her family to understand that they were part of something larger, a continuum of stories passed down through generations. By embracing their own narratives, they too would contribute to this legacy, ensuring that their experiences would resonate with those who followed. In contemplating how stories can shape identities, Agnes realized the importance of storytelling as an act of empowerment. She recalled moments from her own life when holding on to her voice had been challenging. Sharing tales had often felt vulnerable and daunting. Clara's journal taught her that there is strength in vulnerability, that opening up about fears and aspirations can forge connections deeper than any superficial encounter. This connection inspired Agnes to create opportunities for others to express themselves freely, perhaps even inviting women from different backgrounds into her garden sanctuary, where they could share their unique experiences without fear of judgment. She envisioned workshops focused not only on writing, but also on artistic expression. They could explore poetry, painting, or crafts infused with personal significance derived from their life journeys. Agnes thought about how every woman who stepped into her garden could find encouragement through shared stories, the triumphs celebrated together, and the losses mourned collectively, helping heal wounds while fostering resilience among them all. The evening sunlight filtering through leaves above created a magical atmosphere where each conversation could blossom beautifully, like flowers reaching toward the sky. The more she considered it, the clearer it became. This place wasn't just about gardening. It was a nurturing ground for growing voices yearning to be heard. Each seed planted represented hopes sprung forth, a reminder that while challenges exist today, just as they did in Clara's time, sharing experiences creates pathways toward brighter futures where the young dreamers find courage within themselves. As twilight deepened into nightfall, with stars dotting the expansive sky like twinkling memories waiting patiently for recognition, Agnes promised herself never to let those lessons fade away. The power locked within every narrative sparkled brightly amidst fragrant blossoms, a celebration of shared humanity urging everyone forward towards new horizons filled with possibilities. Stories do transcend time. They connect past hearts with present souls readying themselves for unknown adventures ahead. They remind us we're never truly alone as we face life's ebb and flow. Instead, we are interwoven threads, threading through vast tapestries, vibrant enough to embrace every voice, resonating across generations, dancing joyfully together. This garden filled with life, both living blooms and echoes from pages turned long ago. Agnes found solace, knowing that legacy thrives through telling tales aloud. Every flower nurtured serves as a testament, honoring those whose lives shaped paths taken now, while inspiring all who follow.